Ladies and gentlemen, it's time! Brought to you by Ringside, the best in boxing. It's the Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast. Introducing first, fighting out of the Zapata Brand Studio in Berwick, Pennsylvania. He is an expert in boxing and bagels, George Zapata!
Hey, fight fans, welcome to the Zapata Brand Boxing Podcast, brought to you by Ringside. Go to ringside.com/podcast, and you too can get 40% off selected brands. Well, it is Cinco de Mayo weekend, and Canelo Alvarez fills that spot as usual. And who better to have but Jim Lampley from ppv.com with the real-time chat to discuss the fight. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing okay, George. How are you?
Good. It seems to be an every year thing. Canelo Alvarez comes to fight in Vegas on Cinco de Mayo weekend, and I want to go back a little bit as to how I heard about Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, I heard from your voice way back when, and you called him Cinnamon. I didn't know what it was until I looked it up. Cinnamon is Canelo Alvarez. Now, when you first saw him, the first time I saw him was on the undercard of the Mosley Mayweather fight, and he got rocked by Miguel Cotto's brother.
Cotto.
Yes, and at that point, I didn't know they were pressing him as a big superstar. At that point, I wasn't quite sure. When you saw him at that time, did you think he would ever ascend to the superstar status he is right now?
I wasn't looking toward that. I wasn't really evaluating at that moment what might happen in the long term. What I do remember thinking at that moment is, wow, he just got rocked by a big shot. Based on everything I've read and heard, that must be the first time in his career that happened. It will be interesting to see how he weathers it and whether he can go ahead and get the expected perfunctory victory and go forward with what is supposed to become a celebrated career. And all that happened. He got the expected perfunctory victory over Jose Cotto. He moved forward with what has become a spectacularly glorious career. He wound up adopting the Mayweather formula of using his supreme eminence and his bargaining power to set up an annual schedule of fighting in late spring and early fall. And he has become, over time, the biggest moneymaker in the sport because of the unique power of the Mexican audience and its large-scale devotion to boxing. And he has effectively used his economic power to, in some ways, protect him from competitive risk while accurately measuring which risks he can take and how to get past them.
And then to a point that you said that, Marvelous Marvin Hagler once coined the phrase, "It is hard to get up in 4 a.m. wearing silk pajamas." Canelo Alvarez has reportedly over $250 million net worth. He has many businesses. He is the face of boxing and can choose whoever he wants to fight, to your point. How does Canelo Alvarez stay at a position that he really even wants to fight the challenges that are out there anymore? How does a person like that, who has everything, do that? What do you see different?
The world wants him to fight either David Benavidez or David Morrell. And the boxing world makes clear in many ways that it wants him to fight David Benavidez or David Morrell and take a risk inherent in fighting a guy with a larger frame, who is capable as a boxer and has punching power as well. That describes, in the general view, both Benavidez and Morrell. And so far, Alvarez is demonstrably sidestepping them and using his unique bargaining power to do so. So now the question becomes, is this sidestep a misstep? Does Mungia, who is longer, taller, a boxer puncher with some power, who has labored in the vineyards long enough to have had some meaningful opposition and gotten past it, is he now ready to spring the upset that reverses the long-term momentum of Canelo's career? Or is Mungia just another victim while the public waits to see if Alvarez is going to take one of the two perceived bigger risks? He's very outspoken in saying, oh, those aren't real risks. But at the end of the day, he's not stepping forward and signing a contract to fight either of those two guys. And both possibilities have certainly been presented to him from outside his business envelope, not within his business envelope. Like Mayweather, he runs his business and he decides who he's going to fight and when.
Okay, one point before we switch gears to Jaime Munguia. If the all indication says that David Benavidez is going to fight the winner of the Beterbiev Bivol fight, that is what the rumor is out there. If at some point he wants to fight David Morrell, does this absolutely destroy any chance of a Canelo Alvarez David Benavidez fight at 168?
That's up to Canelo. Canelo can lure Benavidez or Morrell or Beterbiev or Bivol, any of them, into the ring for the right deal if he's willing to offer the right deal and agree to the right deal to fight him. Everybody's holy grail is to fight Canelo Alvarez because, as I've said many times in the past couple of years, I don't think he's any longer the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing. That, in my view, is Terrence Crawford. But he is the best dollar-for-dollar fighter in boxing. If you want the biggest possible reward for taking the risk of fighting somebody who's already proven he's great, that's Canelo Alvarez. So he can get the fights he wants. He just has to show that he wants them.
Well, as you said, the Holy Grail is a Canelo fight, and Jaime Munguia has it. I predicted after Jaime Munguia's destruction of John Ryder that he would get it. That's what I thought because of the way they pumped him up. Golden Boy put him up and put him into the forefront. I said, this is a strategic way to put him up there. Not that John Ryder was a bad fighter. I think he was done, and they put him up there, made him look really good. What does Jaime Munguia offer? Stylistically, he is made to order for a Canelo Alvarez. The only difference is he is a volume puncher. What does Jaime Munguia offer Canelo Alvarez?
He's a volume puncher, by the way. And again, to repeat what I said earlier, he's longer and he's taller. So he'll have a reach advantage. He'll have a height advantage. And, you know, those things can be sold in advance of the fight. And he's perceived to be less dangerous than some of the other guys we're talking about, specifically Benavidez, Beterbiev, and a couple of others too. So, and Morrell. So with all of those things going for him, he gets this chance. The question now is how much bloom is off the Alvarez rose? How many years of being at the top, riding the best horses, dining with the most wealthy people in Mexico, buying any ranch he wants, etc. How many years of that do you get before eventually the inner desire has ebbed away and you no longer go into the gym and perform at quite the work rate and with quite the devotion that you have shown all the way up to this point? Obviously, it's up to the trainer, Eddie Reynoso, to try to make sure that Alvarez remains Alvarez and stays as close as he possibly can be to his best. But even great trainers can become fans over a period of time, and their love and respect for the fighters that they are training can prompt them to make minuscule fine line judgment errors, which wind up computing to greater competition than they expected in a given fight. One of these nights, Alvarez is going to step into the ring against an opponent against whom he is clearly favored and which the audience doesn't believe can beat him, and find out, wow, this guy could conceivably beat me. Is it this time? Is Munguia that person? That's what we're going to find out.
Can Eddie Roach make a difference in two fights?
Freddie Roach makes a difference in every fight. Freddie Roach is a truly great trainer. Eddie Reynoso is a great trainer. Eddie Reynoso trained Canelo to two, as it turned out, successful outings he didn't get defrocked against the great Gennady Golovkin, who I thought was the most skilled, pure puncher that I had covered in a long, long time. Eddie Reynoso was the one who, at the critical moment of Canelo's career, leaned forward and said, I need the best round you've ever fought. I need it right now. That was the 12th round of his first fight with Golovkin. He went out and performed the way Reynoso wanted him to perform. He got the result he needed. And so either one of these two trainers, Eddie Reynoso or Freddie Roach, can be the difference in the fight. There aren't too many trainers about whom I would say that. I can say that about both of these guys.
Now, the last time we spoke, it was prior to the Devin Haney Ryan Garcia fight, which, boy, no, that was a miscalculation by me, thinking that
Garcia was a miscalculation by me as well. Okay, I was shocked. I did believe that Haney could outbox Ryan Garcia and cruise to a not terribly challenging unanimous decision, and that isn't what happened. And I knew it wasn't going to happen. The first moment that Garcia struck Haney with one of those left hooks in the first round, and I saw the look on Haney's face, and instantly I thought, well, I had this wrong. That is a colossal weapon, and it will be interesting to see in the near future whether there's anyone who can handle Ryan Garcia's left hook.
As you would say, a scintillating left hook that hit him, in the words of Jim Lampley.
Spectacular left hook.
Yes.
I mean, the speed with which he delivers it. I've always said left hook is the most dangerous punch in anyone's arsenal because it's the hardest punch to see coming. If you deliver it the right way, then you can get to the opponent before he gets to understanding what it is you're throwing. And the first time Garcia threw one of those left hooks, it was like a rocket, and it touched Haney on the chin, and I saw the look on Haney's face, and I said, had this one wrong, he can hurt him. And he did hurt him several times.
That being said, obviously you're leaning towards a Canelo victory, but does Mungia have the tools to hurt Canelo, being that Canelo has a rock solid chin? Is this just
that's the key to the fight right there. Canelo has arguably the best chin in boxing, beyond arguably, convincingly, the most proven chin in boxing. So the notion that somebody goes in, even Terrence Crawford, and touches Canelo Alvarez and hurts him with a left hook, pretty hard bridge to cross at this point in his career. So that suggests that Mungia would have to outbox him. Can Jaime Mungia, with his relatively sparse experience in big fights, outbox Canelo Alvarez with his deeply proven experience in big fights? Not a great bet. Most people see logical reason for Canelo to be a solid favorite in the fight. But if at some point in the first 4 rounds we see that Mungia can hurt Canelo, now we're right back at Garcia versus Haney. Another possible result that you didn't see coming.
Now, you have seen a big fight nights throughout your career. This is going to be one of those nights where it is a massive, massive fight, Cinco de Mayo weekend, so it even amplifies it up a little further. Mungia has not been in something like that. Do you ever see a difference in a fighter who has never been there before to when they first get into something like this?
Well, Mungia's insurance in that regard is Freddie Roach. I mean, Mungia may not have been to that particular mountaintop. Freddie Roach has been there 50 times. So I think at the end of the day, this is a tremendous gift to Mungia that he has come into a relationship with Freddie, that Freddie gets to prepare him for this biggest night of his life. And I think that Mungia will be superbly well prepared. That doesn't solve the problem of Canelo's chin. The problem of Canelo's chin makes it clear that Mungia has to win the fight the hard way. He has to outbox Canelo. He can't expect to, at some point, hurt him so badly with one punch that he can get him in trouble and knock him out. Don't count on that. Canelo's proven himself in that regard way too many times for that to be the strategy.
Now, you've been to all big fights throughout your career also. Which is bigger, Canelo Alvarez Cinco de Mayo weekend or a Floyd Mayweather weekend?
Well, I think there's a lot more, frankly, there's a great deal more positive energy and fan worship that surrounds Canelo. Canelo has not built a lot of the marketing element of his career on getting a certain segment of the audience to dislike him. Floyd very actively cultivated the part of the audience that didn't dislike him, because he understood that their money was just as good as everybody else's money. If people bought the pay-per-view, if people couldn't wait to see the fight, then it didn't matter whether they thought he was going to win or going to lose, whether they were rooting for him or against him. That was all money in his pocket. So the Pacquiao fight is the ultimate demonstration, the apotheosis, if you will, of that. People stopped me on the street for years saying, I can't wait to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And for years I asked them, what is it you think you're going to see? Have you never seen a Floyd Mayweather fight? Do you not understand that this is an exercise in soul-withering defense and boxing skill that reduces any chance of the lightning that you're hoping to see strike? And of course, once the fight finally did take place, money was right. But no, it's a different kind of energy. The people who love Canelo. They don't hate the opponent. They love Canelo. The Tijuana fans who are going up there to root for Mungia, they love Mungia because he's the latest pride of Tijuana. Neither fighter is banking on the antipathy of the audience to earn him money. Floyd did that and did it brilliantly.
Well, two more points before we wrap up. I just want to go back to the Haney fight for 1 second. Did Bill Haney do his son a disservice by making it turn it negative, because now he lost and he's actually looked at as like the bad guy in this, which I don't per se that he's like that. I've met Haney a few times and he's not like that. But Bill put him in a position where he's now looked at as the bad guy.
Well, this is another thing. This is another reason why Freddie is an asset to anyone Freddie works with. Don't react emotionally. Don't say in the heat of passion or disappointment after a loss things that are going to hurt you in terms of bargaining power and presentation in the future. Accept the loss, give credit to the opponent, acknowledge what happened, and go forward. I like Bill Haney. I don't think the things that he said after the fight are going to augur in his son's favor in the future, which is not to say that we aren't going to see Haney Garcia too at some point. It's just that we probably aren't going to see it right away, and we might not see it under the bargaining terms that Bill and Devin Haney would most like. Okay, so
lastly, let me wrap up here. Your pick on the fight this weekend.
My pick for the fight this weekend?
Your pick this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think there's any intelligent pick for almost any matchup in Canelo's career right now that does not read Canelo Alvarez unanimous decision. I think he boxes his way to a management victory. He trusts that great chin. He doesn't take risks. He demonstrates his technical superiority and experience versus somebody like Jaime Mungia, and he winds up winning a close enough but not eyelash decision.
Okay, well, Jim, as always, big fights come in. I call you and I go to the man, Jim Lampley from ppv.com. This Saturday, you'll be in the in-demand ppv.com live chat, real time. You get to communicate with Jim Lampley, Dan Canobio, Chris Algieri, and Lance Pugmire. Jim, as always, when big fights come around, I always reach out to Fred Sternberg to get a hold of you. It's great. Always talk. And personally, I cannot believe I still can get a chance to talk to Jim Lampley. It's been an honor.
Fred Sternberg is the Canelo Alvarez of publicists. His chin is proven over and over.
Believe me, my brother Dennis thinks the same thing. I don't know how that connection happened, but it's an ongoing joke between me, Kevin Ioli, you, and Fred Sternberg. I don't know how it started, but it's an ongoing thing. Even the emails I get are directed to Dennis as opposed to me.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, Jim. Have a great day.
All right, bye.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.